Welcome to the Inside Maumee Athletics podcast, where we bring you the pulse of the Panthers athletic scenes.
Welcome back to Inside Maumee Athletics. I'm your host, Jeremy Schneider. We've had a lot of hardwood under our feet for the last two episodes. Basketball season will do that to you. But today we're turning the page. Green grass, blue skies, and the smell of a brand new spring sports season. I can't think of a better way to get things started than with softball coach Brian Jones. He'll join the show this week to preview what could be a very special season for the Panthers. And we're not done there. Our next episode will feature baseball coach Todd Erie. The thermometer might not agree just yet, but spring is absolutely right around the corner. Let's get into it. But before we get to Coach Jones, we need to talk about a Panther who was making some serious noise on a national stage last weekend. Tegan Kennedy traveled to Boston for the New Balance Indoor Nationals, and she didn't shy away from the spotlight. On Friday, Tegan won her heat in the 5,000-meter run with a time of 16 minutes and 35 seconds. That put her 7th overall in the race and bumped her into the top 10 in the entire country for the indoor season. Top 10 in the country. Let that sink in. And she wasn't done. The very next day, she stepped back on the track for the 3,200-meter run and finished second in her heat in 10 minutes 25 seconds, placing 20th overall out of 178 athletes at the race, and ranking as one of the 32 fastest indoor times in the U.S. this season. This is a kid who already won league, district, and regional titles in cross country this fall and finished 4th in the entire state. Tegan Kennedy is the real deal, and we can't wait to see where she goes from here. Congratulations, Tegan. Maumee is proud of you. All right, our guest this week is someone who has quietly built one of the most consistent softball programs in Northwest Ohio. Brian Jones is heading into his 9th year as the Maumee softball coach, and the numbers tell the story. Over the last 3 seasons, the Panthers have won 50 games. They've won nearly 2/3 of their NBC League games since joining the conference. And they've made deep postseason runs, 2 regional appearances, and a district semifinal, while establishing a winning culture that goes well beyond the varsity roster. This year's team has some serious senior leadership, with Taylor Smith, Hannah Ruiz, and Autumn Gugger all returning for their final season. We'll talk about what each one of them brings to the table, how the team is approaching a season after a year that left them hungry, and why Coach Jones believes this group might have what it takes to make another run. Here's my conversation with Brian Jones. I was coming up with notes for this interview, and the names that I came up with, they're girls that we've been talking about for 3 years now. Yes. I mean, as returners. We've been talking about them for 4, but as returners now for the 3rd straight year. Can you talk about what they've meant to this program and the consistency that they've provided for this program?
Yeah, I think you got Hannah, Taylor, Autumn Gugger.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. They brought this kind of hard work, tough mentality, just an overall genuine love for the game to Maumee softball.
Right.
And we missed that for a few years. And then as freshmen, obviously, we made the nice little state run as they were freshmen. And the one thing I've noticed this year is with them being all seniors, not just so much they've matured, but how much they want it also. They want to go out winners also.
Right.
The best thing I've noticed is they brought a lot of players along as they've grown up. So as freshmen, they jumped in, and that was when, Haley Hughes was a senior, Autumn Gugger was a senior, Daniel. I think they learned from that senior leadership, and they've just learned to grow with it, and it's helped build a program.
Right, for sure. You talk about bringing those girls up behind them, and you think about girls like Rain Hurt, Julia Kuchar,
Yep.
Taryn Pye. I mean, I hate naming girls because it seems like there's about a dozen and a half girls in your program that deserve to be mentioned. But you're right. Girls like Autumn, Taylor, Hannah have brought up this next generation.
Yes, and to your point, when you bring up Rain and you bring Julie and Jamie Brooks and Taryn and Lily, I mean, you can go on and on and on, and they've just gelled so well together. And they're all just close friends, and they take it. I don't want to say so serious, like it's the end of the world if we don't win, but they take it serious enough to where they say, you know what, hey, we can do this. Let's do this for the school. Let's do this for the program. Let's do it for ourselves.
You mentioned it. It's hard for me. Like I had to sit and think. I'm like, okay. I know Taylor's a senior. I know Hannah's a senior. I know Autumn's a senior. Now Rain's not a senior, and I'm sure that Julia's not a senior. But are they? Because they all just kind of are just one big group. It doesn't seem to be broken down across class lines. Yep. It's just one group.
Well, it's weird when you think about it. They're all one group, and how much they've grown. Years and years ago, when Hannah's older sister Michaela played for us and Rain's older sister Paris played for us, they were little munchkins running around in our dugout while these older kids were playing. And I never thought I would still be around when they were there.
Right.
I'm glad I am. And then the funny thing is, I want to watch the 7th and 8th grade team today, and there's 4 younger sisters of the girls we have playing in high school now playing on that team.
Oh, wow.
So it's just awesome to see that at Maumee.
That is something that I feel like, I've talked to a lot of different coaches about this, about making it a point for kids in grade school and middle school to say, I want to be a Maumee Panther. I want to be a Maumee softball player, basketball, football, golf, whatever. It seems like that's kind of chugging along with Maumee softball.
Yes, it is. I think with every sport right now at Maumee that's chugging along, but especially softball. I've noticed that. I mean, I just saw on Facebook page today, we have 5 summer teams for Maumee Thunder. We have, I think it was like 2 10s, a 12, and 2 14s or something like that. Can't remember the exact age group, but there's 5 different teams for our summer program. That's huge for the sport of softball.
With any sport, you want these girls to continue to hone their craft and you want them to play other things and not get burnt out. But at the same time, you still want them to keep a bat in their hands and a glove on their hands, right?
Yeah, you want them to do as much as they can. And to your point, I want them to play other sports. I don't want them to get burnt out on one. Plus, it helps the community, helps the school when they're playing multiple sports. We've said this before. We've talked about this. Maumee has to have multiple sport athletes to be successful in all the sports. Yeah. And that's one thing I really love about Maumee is, Rain plays volleyball, she plays basketball, then she plays softball. And then there's other ones. Lily does the same thing. Julia does the same thing. It's just really nice to see. And I love going out and watching them play other sports, not only just to support them, but to see how they interact with other coaches, see how they interact with other players, see how they interact in other sports.
Right. Well, you bring up basketball and thinking about Taylor. I know she had her basketball season cut short with an injury. I've heard she's on the mend. I mean, I know we can't break anything or, say anything out of turn here, but how are we doing with Taylor? I know she's a huge part of this program, a huge part of this team. How's she doing right now?
Well, I can break some news. She's been released 100%.
Hey, there we go. That's awesome.
But we are still going to slowly work into it. Yeah. I've actually charted day by day on what she did, how she felt afterwards. Right. Obviously, she's been our catcher for the last 3 years, but we're probably not going to start her behind the plate for a couple games, maybe a couple weeks, just to make sure she's 100%.
Right.
Not only for what we need her for down the stretch, but her future too. She's going to college. She's going to be an adult. I don't want to push any injury that's going to affect her in the future just to try to win some games. You know me, my most important goal is to make sure that they're successful in life.
With that in mind, with Taylor being a future Tiffin Dragon, does that, you kind of mentioned it there, that puts a little bit different spin on things with you as a coach. Do you approach coaching a kid like that any differently, knowing that she is a definite college athlete, or are you coaching her the same as everybody else?
I'm coaching her the same every day for the everyday softball world, but as opposed to coaching her into the younger adult, a little bit different because I know she's going to college. So, when you coach high school sports that senior year, as a coach, most of those girls don't get to play after that last game, right?
Right.
But with her, I know she does. There's another reason why, we also want to make sure she's 100% healthy going into the end of the year, summer ball, and next fall when she starts at Tiffin, yes. Right. So a little bit different, more mental, more conversational.
Yeah.
Than as opposed to the X and O's of softball. Yeah. She knows the X and O's of softball. I don't have to worry about that.
She's probably forgotten more about softball than about 95% of the population.
Yes. And it's funny. She was just released and she gets out there the first day and she looked like she hasn't missed a beat. So,
I'm sure. She's just an incredible athlete and an incredible kid as well.
Yes. It's amazing. Her athletic skills. One of the most polite kids I've ever been around. She's taken some of these freshmen that we've put on varsity and kind of worked with them. Even when she wasn't doing anything, she was watching Lily catch. She was watching Olivia catch. She was talking about how to, present, get down on your knees and blocks. I mean, she was almost an extra coach for us for the first 2.5 weeks. She wasn't around. Wasn't allowed to practice. Yeah.
Let's talk about one of the other seniors here, Hannah. She's a girl that's been in the circle for you for a lot of innings, thrown a lot of pitches for you guys. How confident are you heading into her senior year with her abilities and what you're asking of her?
I'm very confident. Obviously, she came as a freshman. She pitched extremely well for us. Helped us get, one game away from the Final Four. Yeah. Even the last 2 years, she's pitched extremely well. I think she was only 14-10 last year, but I believe out of her 10 losses, I want to say 6 of them were by like 2 runs or less.
Right.
Her ERA was like a 2.4 something.
Yep.
She's come in really good shape this year, really laser focused. I think she wants to go out a winner as a senior. And I love it. And she's kind of taken some of the other girls under her wing too. She's been a very good vocal leader. She was last year also, but even this year I can tell that she's kind of taken that leadership role over, which is awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about Autumn. She's had some great postseason awards. She's put a lot of work into this game. Can you talk about where you've seen her grow from her first practice freshman year to now being that experienced senior with a lot on her shoulders?
Yeah, I'll say it. I've said it once. I've said it again. That's probably the best center field I've ever coached in my life. Very smart, hardworking, takes it serious. Just a great overall athlete. Just to watch her grow. Remember, she started in left field as a freshman because we had Haley Hughes as center as a senior. Yeah. But she slid over to center, and she's the captain of the offense or defense. She knows it. She's made some great plays for us. Not only just watching her groom as a player, but watching her groom as a person. That's the best thing. I remember she came in as a freshman. She was always good at the game, but she was very shy. She didn't really talk a lot. Now she's open. She's the first one at every practice. Like literally when you can hear the door slam behind him, like Gugger's here. And she's another one that's taken that leadership role. She did it with Taryn last year as a freshman. Right. We have another freshman on the team this year, Lexi Warnes, who's an outfielder that's going to kind of fill in for us wherever we need. Taking her under the wing, taught her kind of slap hitting, stuff like that. So that's the best part about those 3 seniors is not only they're just so hardworking, but they become leaders and almost like coaches.
Yeah, they're passing that knowledge and that experience down to the next generation.
Yes.
You don't string good seasons together one after the other without that happening.
Absolutely. You are correct. That is why we've been successful is the players.
Right.
They've come in and it's kind of rubbed off on the rest of the girls. Sure. And they're like, oh, wow, look at this. This is kind of fun. Even last year, 17-12 was kind of disappointing with the goals that I set, which I think I put a little bit too much pressure on them. But still 17-12 is not too bad when you've lost, 8 of those 12 losses were by 2 runs or less.
Yeah.
So it was still a great season for us. Yeah.
You just teed up my follow-up question, the next question right there perfectly. You said that last season was a little disappointing. I know that the previous seasons you guys had made some runs into the regional tournament. Last year ended in the district semifinals, 17 wins, not that 20-win threshold. So it was disappointing. How has that motivated the girls and kind of framed how they're approaching this season?
I think it motivated them a lot, and I think, I'll take 100% blame for last year. I think I put too much pressure on them. Literally from practice 1, it was talking about winning the league. It was talking about beating a certain team. I won't say the certain team, beating a certain team in the districts and making it to the regionals again. I thought I put too much pressure on them, and then as the year went along, I got so involved into trying to win every game, I forgot one of my favorite phrases is focus on the process and not the outcome. I was so upset we would lose a game that I wasn't really coaching them up. It was that positive mentality that I didn't have last year, which I've changed that a little bit this year. But yeah, I think the girls look at it this year and realize that 17-12 was a good year record-wise.
Yeah.
But we just didn't hit the expectations that I put together for the girls. So this year, we've already talked about, we're not worried about winning the league. We're not worried about any tournament. We're worried about the one pitch, one inning, one game. That's it. That's our mentality.
Right.
We're going to worry about one pitch, one inning, one game, and then see where we go from there.
I like that. It's that old one game at a time thing, but it really does work.
It does. It does. And I lost focus of that probably the beginning of last year and all last year. I was so driven that, hey, this is the team that's going to win the league. We're going to make a run because of what we did the previous year. I just forgot the fact that, number one, you can't worry about what's ahead of you until you worry about what's there in front of you right that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it didn't help. I mean, I don't want to say it didn't help, but you guys were also picked by the other coaches in the NBC.
Correct, yes.
To win.
Yep.
So there's a whole other level. You'd made the region a couple times in a row. There's all of that pressure.
Yes.
You said you've changed, the girls have changed. Has there been anything specific that you guys have done differently this offseason heading into this season? Anything specifically different?
Yeah, so last year we do exit interviews every year with the girls, the returning girls. They all said they wanted harder, more difficult practices, more drills, more fundamentals, and just a little bit harder. So we've been harder on them.
Okay.
We used to let them hit in like slides and sandals and stuff like that. No more. Like, you want to be pushed harder, we're going to do it the right way and go hard. My assistant coach is Kayla Wolf. We added Marisha Scott back to the program. So she's helping coaching again. Between the three of us, we've put together some good fundamental hard practices. And we've done a little bit more physical stuff, more running at the end, because I think towards the end of some games last year, we got a little tired, which didn't make us finish. There were some games that we've, kind of got a little tired down the stretch. So we've added a little bit more running and a little bit more weightlifting and stuff like that too. So, yeah.
Okay. With all of this talent back and all of these girls back who have played a lot of innings for you, is that pressure or is that opportunity?
I think it's opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think it's pressure. We're not going in with anything pressure on our back. We're just going to go play and have fun this year.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first started coaching, I remember a coach asked me how I beat a certain 16U team in the Wizards program. I said, I just let the girls play and had fun. And that's what we got to get back to. Just play and have fun. That's it. Good things will happen if you play and have fun. They're all talented. We know that.
Right.
Just go out there and have fun. And I told them all, we just had a team meeting, team bonding. I said, don't play for stats. Don't play for college scholarships. Don't play for anybody but yourself. Go out there and have fun and play the game. That's it.
We kind of talked about it before we started the interview about the weather outside, about how windy it is. I mean, it's beautiful temperatures, but you got the wind. And then some days you won't have the wind, but it'll be 35 degrees. Yep. As a softball coach, and this is something that you've dealt with, this is something that every softball coach deals with. How do you balance the start of a season when you've got to be inside and maybe get outside once or twice in a week and then you're right back inside, but you got to play games out? How do you balance that? That's tough.
It's hard. It's very hard. When you go outside for 3 days and then all of a sudden you've hit the ball, and we haven't been on dirt yet. We've only been on turf.
Okay.
So we haven't been on dirt, but it's still different when you go outside for a couple of days and then you got to go into the gym because the ball bounces different off the hardwood as opposed to the turf. You can't really work with your outfielders inside because you don't have the room. The pitching's just different. It's hard. The best thing we've done this year is we've made it a challenge to where we come up with different drills.
Yeah.
And then just kind of do like a little contest between them and make it fun while we're inside. It's difficult. And it's going to be difficult this week because we were supposed to scrimmage tomorrow. That'll get canceled because it's supposed to get cold and rainy. Right. Tuesday, we've already moved to Thursday because of the weather.
Right.
So we may not be outside for our first time on dirt till Wednesday, our first scrimmage against Whitmer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
that's tough.
Yeah.
It
is tough.
As a coach, you know your team. I mean, obviously, you know these girls, you know this team. And I'm going to start asking some questions about, where is this team strong, blah, blah, blah. How do you know right now, though? How do you know where this team's strong, where you need to work? Because you haven't been on dirt yet. Right.
Yeah, we don't, as a team against another team, we don't know how strong they're going to be. But as opposed to each other,
okay,
we're going to be really strong. And the reason I say it that way is one phrase that we tried to use going into the season. If we can't compete against each other in practices, how are we going to be able to compete against other teams during the season?
Right.
So we've been competing each other a lot in practice. We've done a lot of inter-squad scrimmages. We'll do a lot of drills. We'll do a lot of things to where like the winners win and the losers have to run or something, It's something like that. So we pushed them really hard. The mentality part, I think, is going to be there. Obviously, you don't know till you get out on dirt what your team's going to look like.
Right.
But the best part about this team is they push each other. Like
Okay.
they don't want to lose.
Yeah.
And then another thing we started doing this year is we call it's called like the drip player of the practice.
Okay.
Like the drip, your kind of motivation and your positivity on the next person. So after every practice, we pick a certain person out and say, hey, you were the drip player of practice.
Oh,
and I think that's pushed them because every kid wants to be acknowledged, right?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the practice, they want to hear their name and why they were called the drip player of the game. And I think that goes a long way with them.
Do they get some big like medallion or
not yet? We haven't done that yet. But once the season starts, we're going to start doing that. Yes.
So with that in mind, right now as we sit here, where is this team strong? Where do the strong suits, where do the strong points of this team lie?
I think the biggest strong suit is we have 12 travel ball kids, so the knowledge of the game is there. The softball IQ, which I think is the biggest thing when you talk about softball, is the IQ.
Right.
Number two, I think offensively, I think we're going to score a lot of runs this year.
Okay.
We've got a lot of good hitters, and they're smart hitters. Pitching, obviously, with Hannah and Julia and Courtney Bell, I think we've got 3 really good pitchers that we can run out there at any time.
Right.
But I think overall the softball IQ is where I think we're going to be successful. Because when we first started doing practices, we didn't have to do a lot of, teaching how to run bases or how to throw a ball or how to stand on the base when you're covering second base on a throwdown. They all knew that.
Yeah.
Because they played so long. Some of these guys have played, 100 games of softball last summer.
Yeah.
So the softball IQ is probably the most important part and the best part. Yeah.
And that's a good position for you as a varsity high school coach to be in, is when these girls get to your program, you don't want to have to be going through hey, this is where you're supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to throw. Yeah. You can build on those basics and fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to go into practice. You don't have to worry about explaining what a drop third strike is, or the first and third situations. We've worked on that, and all the girls know exactly what to do on first and third situations. Or a slap hitter, I don't even have to tell them slap covers; they just do it once they see the girl go in the box.
Right.
It's that little things that you don't have to work on. Then you can spend time on your strategies, your pitch calls, your mental part of the game. Strategies on what you want to do on offense and defense, and you're not really working on some of those little things. Yeah.
Right. All right. So flip side of all that, where does this team still need work? Where do you need to shore up some stuff? Defensively,
I think a little bit. I think we're going to be good defensively, but until we get out and hitting balls on dirt, we're not sure yet.
Right.
It's totally different feeling the ball on turf or inside. Once you get out of Rolfe Park on a crazy bounce, or you start playing in 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds like, the 7th and 8th grade team did today, that's going to be we don't know yet.
Right.
We just don't know how they're going to react outside. I mean, we played Negated Moore Harbor last year, and the winds were 60 miles an hour. So until we see it outside, we're not sure yet. Yeah.
Right. Well, and so the thing about that is that seems to be everybody in Northwest Ohio right now.
Yeah.
Is it a matter of whoever can figure that out the quickest is going to be the best off?
Yes, I think so. I think whoever can figure it out the quickest is going to be the best. And I think whoever can make adjustments based on day-by-day weather will benefit also. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Because our girls don't like playing in the cold. We know that.
Who does? Like, come on.
I know. Nobody does. But it's funny because we'll play a game and they're like, oh, my God, it's so cold. That's why we're losing. I'm like, well, the other team's playing in the same weather. So
if you guys are able to make a run to the regionals this year, what will have happened this season to make that happen? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, finish down the stretch.
Okay.
I think we need to finish down the stretch. Like I said, we lost a lot of games in the 6th or 7th inning where we just couldn't finish. Yeah. And I think that's what hurt us last year. Now, if you look back 4 years ago when we got there, I think we got there with a lot of good young talent. But this year with this team, there's a lot more IQ. So I like more softball IQ.
Yeah.
I think down the stretch, I think the little things, maybe, taking that extra base in the 2nd or 3rd inning to where you're not sacrificing somebody over to get them to 3rd, as opposed to automatically taking your base on your own. So you're not sacrificing out to get that run in, if that makes sense.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, the NBC. I know we're not concerned about NBC championships or anything, but it's a really good league. Always is a really good league with Lake, you guys, Oak Harbor, Eastwood, always good teams. What's the league going to look like this year? Do you
league is going to be very tough this year. I mean, really, really good. Lake is going to be really good. They got good pitching, good hitting. Eastwood's got good pitching, good hitting. Oak Harbor is always good. Otsiego's really good.
Yeah.
I've seen them play a little bit already on Game Changer. They're going to be really good. Pitching, I think, is going to be really good in our league. Hitting's going to be really good. And it's going to come down who can just score that one run when you're not expecting it, right? Maybe a suicide squeeze or maybe a sacrifice fly.
Sure.
Those are going to be the little things in these games that I think are going to make a lot in our league. It's amazing. We used to talk the NLL, the NLL, the NLL years ago. I think the NBC, and I probably shouldn't say this because I know NLL coaches might hear this, but the NBC's kind of surpassed the NLL a little bit when it comes to pitching and some offense. So
Okay.
yeah. I mean, it's really deep. Yes.
How does playing those teams like the teams we just mentioned get you ready for that second season, for that postseason?
It does. Kayla and I were watching the 7th and 8th grade today, Kayla Wolf and I, and we said the same thing. You don't get better unless you're playing better talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does no good to go out there beating somebody 15-0 and just walking all over and whatever. You play better talent. And the best thing about today's game is the 7th and 8th grade team played Otsego and they won in the bottom of the last inning. Mm-hmm. And it was it builds character when you're playing games like that, right? Yeah. And I think that's what helps playing in a league that's tough too, is you're building character, right? You're playing against teams that are good, and it makes one decision or one mistake or something like that could cost you a run or cost you an error, cost you the game, and they get you prepared for the tournament's time. If you're just running through your league and winning 14-0 and not really playing tough teams, you get to that tough team in the tournament, and what happens in a first and third situation, or it's 2-1 in the bottom of the sixth? How do you know how to handle yourself?
Right.
So that's why I love playing against great teams in our league and great pitching and great coaching. And it makes me better too as a coach. I sit there and watch other coaches and see what they do and what works for them and what works for their team. So,
where do you think you've grown the most as a coach?
I think I've grown a lot to understand the change of the game a little bit.
Okay.
When I first started coaching, I was a travel ball coach too, and I kind of thought I knew everything because I was a travel ball coach.
Okay.
I think when I became a high school coach, I realized a lot of these kids go to travel ball coaches that they have 8, 9, 10 months out of a year, where I only get them a couple months.
Right.
So I learned to, instead of saying, okay, well, I'm the coach, you're going to do it my way. How about, hey, your hitting coach does this or your pitching coach does this. Let me go watch you to figure out what their lingo is or the language is, and then I'll carry it over to us. Because I'm not going to change Julia Kucher's swing if she's struggling, right? I'm not going to change it. I can adjust it. But I can go watch her hitting coach and I can see what teaches her. And then when she's struggling, I can, hey, this is what your coach would tell you. So opened up a little bit as a coach. Also, I always kind of wanted to run practice myself because I thought it was the right way to do it.
Okay.
Now I've had my coaches kind of say, hey, what do you want to look at? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? So I've kind of opened up as a coach to listen to what they know and what they want to teach also.
Sounds like, this is not you, but it sounds like you've put a little bit of ego aside. I've never thought you were an ego guy. You were never me guy. And every time that I've talked to you, but even with that, it sounds like that's putting ego aside.
Put it to the side. And I honestly think, and I'll admit this to everybody in the world, I think when we went 20-9, it was me and it wasn't.
Okay.
It was the program. Because I looked, hey, look what I do. And then I went into last year like, well, no, we're going to do it this way. We're going to do this. That's why I was a changed coach last year a little bit. And I had to step back and say, no, we got to go back to what Brian Jones used to be years ago. Yeah. It's not about winning. It's about having fun. It's about the girls enjoying this. Because I could tell some of the girls didn't enjoy some of the stuff we did last year. And I didn't make the adjustments last year like I did. So I learned from that last year a lot.
Yeah. That's awesome to continue to be able to learn from it. You mentioned it a little bit ago, and I think we'll end on this one, looking at the future. The 7th and 8th grade teams, that's something that I know we haven't had for very long. What is this, the second year for it?
Second year, yeah. Yep.
Second year for it. Yeah. Talk about how that shapes the program and that gives the girls in those grades a place to become Maumee softball players.
Yeah, I love it because, number one, obviously they're playing the game. They're learning the game. The coaches are teaching the game. They're playing with kids that they're going to be growing up with. Mm-hmm. And then they see, like today we go out and see them, and they're playing together. They're playing with Maumee on the front of their shirt. They get excited to beat Otsego. And then at the end of the game, I literally walked in the dugout and gave every single one of them a high five. I said, hey, I'm very proud of you. You guys busted your butt all day. It's windy out here. It's starting to get cold. You guys did great. And then they look and when they see their varsity coach or their assistant coaches out there supporting them, I think that goes a long way. Yeah. And I've always done that in the past. To get out and watch them as much as I can, but to have them, I used to watch them play travel ball, but now to have them in that Maumee jersey, it's very special to see. And then they're up there and then they're, as they're leaving, they're saying, hey, Coach Jones, have a great night. And I'll be like, hey, have a great night too. And it's just, it goes a long way for not only for the program, but for the whole community.
Coach, as always, I always enjoy talking to you. You're one of my favorites. You're a great guy. It's no wonder this team had 17 wins last year, and it was a disappointing season. I think there's a lot of programs that would have traded places with you, and there's no wonder why. You're just fantastic, and I've always enjoyed talking to you. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everything you and Darcy does. We really appreciate it. You do a lot for Maumee, and I know it goes unnoticed, but not for me. So thank you for everything.
Big thanks to Brian Jones for joining the show. I've talked to a lot of coaches over the years, and I always come away from my conversations with Brian feeling like I just learned something, not just about softball, but about coaching and really life. The fact that he's willing to sit here and say, hey, I put too much pressure on them last season, and that's on me. That's not something every coach is going to do. That kind of honesty is what builds real trust with your players. And from what I heard in that interview, this team trusts him completely. With talent up and down that lineup, a chip on their shoulder, and a coaching staff that's learned from last year, these Panthers should be a fun team to watch all spring, and a real threat when tournament time comes around. Before we wrap up, I want to introduce a new segment on the show, the Panther of the Week, because this community gives us so much to celebrate on the field, off the field, everywhere in between. This week I'm going to get a little personal. Some of you may have heard, over the last few weeks I went through a health scare that landed me in the hospital for 3 days. I'm on the mend, and I'm grateful every day for the doctors and healthcare workers who have taken such great care of me and continue to do so. But here's the thing about Maumee. This community doesn't let you go through something like that alone. From the athletic boosters to parents I've met sitting in the stands watching our kids play, to parents I've met at PTA meetings and all sorts of places, administrators, friends, families, all over this community. My family was surrounded with groceries, gifts, meals, and more kindness than I don't even know what to do with. When I was still in the hospital, someone texted me something that I keep coming back to. If we don't help each other, who will? That's Maumee. That's exactly who this community is. I can't name everyone. There's too many of you. But just know, your love and support has meant everything to me and my family. To me, you're all Panthers of the Week. And that'll do it for this week's Inside Maumee Athletics. A huge thank you to Brian Jones for taking time away from game prep to join the show, and to all of you for listening. If you're enjoying the show, do me a favor. Leave a rating and a comment wherever you're listening. It genuinely helps that more people find us, and it means the world. You can reach out to the show anytime at InsideMaumeeAthletics@gmail.com. And make sure you're following us on Facebook at Inside Maumee Athletics. And I've started something new and exciting. Catch IMA on Substack. Just search for Inside Maumee Athletics. Until next time, thanks for listening.